like Einstein tells us, and this is, bring in the multiverse for this too, right? Einstein told us that space is like stretchable, right? So it expands. So we have the moment of the Big Bang, and the universe, or existence as a whole, we might say, space and time, evolves according to the law of inflation. So we keep getting a bigger and bigger area of space. And some physicists think that this inflation happens eternally, that it isn't reasonable to say that it just stopped as soon as our universe was created, or one or two later. So what you have is this popular view in physics where you keep getting more and more of these universes and end up with a popular multiverse view where every single possible physical reality is realized. So there's worlds, according to this view, where we're having this conversation in Spanish, or God forbid French, right? Or there's a very nearby possible world where we're having this conversation in Italian, German, or Japanese, right?
Exactly the same words, exactly the same pauses, infinitely.
There are worlds, though, and I think the real question we want to ask, there are a bunch of these multiverse views. We spoke at the start about the purpose of philosophy, Mary Midgley clarifying these concepts. This is an idea my friend Ellie Robson convinced me of recently, that it's a really important job in philosophy. We haven't done a good job in physics and philosophy of defining the multiverse. We keep using the word, but you've had Sean Carroll on the show, who's fantastic, and I've spoken to him about his many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics.
Yeah.
You've got views in philosophy that give you every single metaphysical possibility. The easiest one to illustrate it's just this inflation model that I've just given. But what we really want to know is why this matters. Does this change the value of the world? Because there are universes where little girls are born, they're tortured for their whole lives, they're executed, and it repeats, right? There are universes where Matt Damon's career didn't get worse, but it got better, right? So there are good universes too. But on the whole, that means you've got an uncountable number of bad universes and an uncountable number of good universes. So I think if the multiverse theory is actually true, as agnostics or atheists, we should be really fucking worried. This is a horrible state of affairs. If there are all of these worlds, if you actually believe that they exist, you shouldn't be singing and buzzing with the bees and jumping with the shrimp and being all excited about existence. We should be really concerned.
But we're really concerned about things that we're not even sure exist that are horrific?
Yeah, well, you should be.
You know what I'm saying? That's existential angst to the power of 1,000.
Well, there's a couple of problems there, right? Well, there's three big problems that come out of it. The main one, which we've just linked to, is if you're trying to weigh up the overall value of existence, is the world, i.e. the multiverse, a good thing on the whole or a bad thing? And I think if you say that there is, let's just say it's infinite, even though it might not be. If you say there's infinite suffering and infinite goodness, that doesn't seem like you can be optimistic. You'd have to go, on the whole, the existence is neutral, mixed, or maybe it's bad. Maybe you don't want a city where everyone's getting tortured next door to a city where everyone's living a blissful life.
But in our own experience on Earth, horrific things and beautiful things are happening simultaneously.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, more beautiful things than horrific, but we concentrate on the negatives.
Yeah.
To sit around and ponder the multiverse being an infinite number of evil civilizations destroying themselves and torturing themselves. Okay, how is that any different than thinking about demons? How is it that any different than thinking about the puppet masters of the universe controlling all of our minds?
Yeah.
It's just mental masturbation. There's no way you're going to know whether or not there's a multiverse of people suffering. So to not be happy in this beautiful existence because perhaps there's a multiverse in which infinite suffering is occurring seems to me to be a giant waste of an amazing trip. The trip that we're on right now is Earth 2025 Western civilization. Pretty fucking cool. Pretty cool. And I think your job is, if you're so fortunate that you're in this position, to enjoy this very bizarre place in history where it's the strangest time perhaps ever that human beings have been alive. And we're going through it. You could sit around all day and think, but in other multiverses, people are just getting eaten by other people. Maybe.
Well, it's sort of mental masturbation in the sense that, it just means that you can't, when you contemplate all of existence, think that it's an overall good thing. So in that sense,
we
like
don't
you shouldn't-
know. We don't know what it is.
Well, if
we
the
don't,
mul-
we
if-
don't- really don't know.
for the multiverse theorists,
Sure,
I'm
if
saying,
it
yeah.
There's probably an infinite number of if the multiverse exists, and if there's not a limited number of universes, but it's an infinite number of universes, there's probably an infinite number of universes that are also fucking amazing.
Yeah.
They're probably all competing, just like all life is on this planet. And what if the universe is constantly in a state of evolution itself? Why would we limit that to physical things that we can currently observe? If we know that there's stellar nurseries, we know that how planets get born and stars, and we're very aware that there's this process going on. Why would we assume this process is completed and perfected? Maybe this process is also moving in a better direction constantly, just like human life is, just like human civilization is. Maybe that's something that exists everywhere in the universe, and that the universe itself is advancing to a more powerful state or a better state.
Well, this is good. So let's say entertain the multiverse view, and let's pretend it's true, right? And so you've got infinite pleasure, happiness, and infinite suffering and pain.
Right.
So I think once you do, you minus one from the other, you've got a neutral set of existence. Like let's say this.
Sure.
Right? So on balance, it's about the same. So if you're a pantheist and you believe in the God of the multiverse, if you embrace multiverse theism, then you can't believe that God is good in the same way. There's also a problem, which is you mentioned something like the process, right? But there are worlds in which this process has already been realized. It doesn't really matter if our world reaches that or not. In the grand scheme of calculating the amount of good and bad in the world, you might think that...
Explain that again. Say that again.
Well, you might think that, like, some people say stuff like this, right? They go, I want to stop eating meat or stop taking long haul flights. But really, when it comes down to it, it doesn't really matter whether I buy that chicken or take that flight. It's not going to impact the overall good and bad that's in the world. It's a drop in a huge ocean that really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of it. If the multiverse theory is true, something like that hits a little bit harder. If your goal is to make existence as a whole greater or better, then it's nothing compared to the infinite suffering and pain that's already out there. You can't change the overall value of existence. I still think, and I'm with you on this, I'm sort of following the line of argument to the point where it's fleshed out fully. But now we've said that, I still think there's a point in being moral in developing your own character, sorting out your own house or community or country or continent and the world.
It seems like that's what our job is.
Yeah. Seems like
that's where
that's still
we
worthwhile.
get what you keep referring to as meaning. That's where we get meaning.
Yeah, I think that's fine. There's other problems, though, that seem to fall out of this as well, right? Which is like we have a concept of what it is to be a person back to our individual, subjective, conscious minds. When we try and think about what it is for me to be me today as the same person born 31 years ago and the same person and the halfway point between that again, to go back to Zeno. Like, how am I the same person throughout time? I think the best answer to this is something like, I have the same capacity for conscious experience. If it was stream of consciousness, that would mean every time you drift off during me talking now, then you would die and you'd be born again when your stream of consciousness reemerges. Or if it was, like if you say, Joe Rogan is that stream of consciousness, that sequence of experiences that he's undergoing now,
right,
and that stops because you drift off, that would mean your stream of consciousness has ended. Think of it like sleep. When you go into NREM sleep and you don't have any conscious experiences, let's say, you would die according to that view. Or the reviews in philosophy which say you are your psychological continuity. Joe Rogan is the person that believes, that Marshall, his golden retriever, is fantastic, and that that consciousness is the fundamental nature of stuff. But then if I were to strip those beliefs away from you, the psychological continuity view would say Joe Rogan doesn't exist anymore.
Because I don't exist anymore. Yeah, I get you.
So I think it's
that,
the thing that gives you your
the
consciousness.
Drifting off thing doesn't make sense to me, because drifting off is just a failure to connect.
Yeah, but
you're still conscious. It's not like I'm dead, like everything goes black and I don't know anything. I'm thinking about other things. My stream of consciousness just stopped paying attention to you. If I drift off, I never drift off entirely. If I do, I go to sleep.
Well, but when you sleep, you have it, right?
Yeah, but when you sleep, you dream. Like, what is going on there? We don't even understand that.
You don't think there's ever a moment when you don't have an experience?
Well, you don't have a conscious experience because you're not conscious.
Oh, that's good. That will do.
Right, but what is going on? Like, why do we have such vivid dreams? Like, what is going on with consciousness in regards to REM sleep? We don't totally understand that. We don't really know what that is.
Well, it's a bit of a... Even then, it might seem like a bit of a problem, right? Take out, like, copy and paste teleportation to really put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I copy all of the parts of you, I destroy them and recreate them elsewhere.
Right, like Star Trek.
Yeah. Star Trek. I don't know
beam
much
me
about
up,
Star
Scotty.
Trek. It's
like
different.
It's
different on Star Trek. It's not copy and. This sounds so
Isn't
fucking
it?
nerdy. Yeah, I'm really embarrassed.
Well, it's
to be
not
talking
copy
about
and
this.
paste, but it's like they take you and
Yeah.
they beam you to another planet.
Yeah,
and you
they
don't
beam
exist
you.
here anymore,
But
you exist over there.
But some nerd told me that when the beam beamed. Do you like Star Trek?
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
sorry.
The original
I
one.
shouldn't call you.
It's okay. I was a kid.
So when you're getting beamed around in Star Trek, it's not copy and paste.
Right.
Teleportation.
It's cut and paste.
No, it's not cut. Oh, it's cut. It's cut and paste here. Okay, so it would be cut and paste. I copy you, I recreate you.
Right.
It'd be copy and paste if I made another Joe Rogan, and then we've got the problem that
Right.
sort of Paul Rudd has in that Netflix show, which is great. Living with Yourself. Have you seen
Oh
that?
no, I haven't.
Oh, it's
Is he
gold.
make a clone of himself?
Yeah, he
I
wants
always
to have
said
a
that
better
like
life.
you
so he
can't give
clones
that
himself.
power to dictators. Like if you can
Yeah.
when I was talking to Kurzweil and he was talking about downloading consciousness into computers, I'm like, what's to stop someone from doing that 1,000 times? What's to
Yeah.
stop someone from making an army of Donald Trumps?
Yeah,
Like how you can't stop. If you could do it once, you could keep doing it.
Going.
Especially as technology advances.
Oh, it's a gold, the Paul Rudd one. They recreate him, but as a better version of himself.
Oh no!
So all of his friends want to hang out with the other one. His wife wants to be with
no.
them. Yeah. It's
Oh
a,
no!
it's a
He
really
should
good
just kill
show.
himself. He's already here. I wonder if he shot himself in the head, he would just be that other guy.
In Star Trek, what happens is you carry on having experiences. They beam you. Someone told me there's an episode where you see what it's like to be teleported, and it's just like this world of things and lights around you. So it's not like the lights go